Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Future Ready Schools and Future Ready Librarian webinar. We're so excited today because we've never done this before, and we're having a giant digital learning app smash today for our Future Ready Librarian webinar. So we're so glad that you could be here with us. I wanted to kick it off too by thanking our sponsor, Future Ready Librarians, for all of their support. We really thank Follett because they not only support us as librarians, but also support our libraries and also everything within education. So we're so thankful for them as well. My name is Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa. I also serve as a Future Ready Librarian spokesperson, working with the Alliance and Future Ready Schools and lots of great educators and librarians around the country. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shannon M. Miller, and I also blog at the Library Voice. And please feel free to reach out anytime if you have questions or you need help with anything. I am happy to be there for you too, not just today, but always. If you have questions today, please post them on Future Ready Lives using that hashtag on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll also be watching Facebook. And it's great because we have so many awesome guests on that I'm sure could answer a lot of your questions too. So once you see who is on, please feel free to reach out to them as well. And as always, we're there for the conversation on Future Ready too. And so you can check out these two hashtags. We actually have a slow chat today on Future Ready around something that I'm going to share at the end. And I'm really excited just to catch up on that too. And then at the bottom, I put our website. And so we will be posting this, and there's lots of other great things there too. Okay, well, we're going to get started because we have a lot to do today and a lot to learn. And this is, like I said, the first digital learning app smash that we're having. And we have 20 amazing apps, maybe one more, and lots of great teacher librarians and educators who are going to be presenting. Now, when we think about this today, and we think about the way that we look at our framework and the way that we take these digital tools and apps and how we smash them into the framework, but also as how they tie into what we do as Future Ready librarians. And so as we go today, I want you to think about that and keep the framework in the back of your head on how these connect to those two. So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to turn on my timer because I told everybody right before that we have a certain amount of time, but I'm going to kick it off talking about Collections by Destiny. And this is something that we've used for the last 3 years, and it's so great because it helps us to collect and create and deliver and just share resources that we have, if they're free or if they're purchased resources that we have within our library collection. They can include web pages, they can include Google Docs, ebooks, audiobooks, digital tools and apps, and also work that our kids create and teachers create and so much more. I also love it because it ties into that collaboration piece. And so when you're talking about collaboration, not only with your teachers, but even with your students, Collections is a great one. Now, how we can use it as a Future Ready librarian, we can use it in so many different ways. A tool for curation, creating in collaboration by smashing it up with other tools like Symbaloo, Wakelet, Google Classroom, Seesaw, and even more. Those are just some of the things that I use. I also wanted to include some collections and collection sets. And one thing that I did a lot during remote learning is to create a lot of collections that our kids could use at home, that they use maybe at school, but they could even use with their families. Also, our collection set of special yearly events is a really popular one because we keep adding to this throughout the year. And so in a collection, I can add ebooks that I have, audiobooks, books we have in our library, along with just lots of really great resources. Now, ideas for using it with your students. Students can also collect and curate resources for projects and different tasks and even portfolios that they have. And my students, they love using them as a place to organize what we're reading, if it's for book clubs or maybe the books that they're reading. And in remote learning, they loved it because I would put together things not only around books, but even like virtual field trips that they could take so they could have access at home or school. And so that is one of our favorite. And I put in the top picture is actually a collection of today's resources. And the bottom one is a blog post about how you can use Collections by Destiny for continuous learning. And I did it under time. So next person, go. Can't hear you yet.
Hi there. I'm here to share about Flipgrid. Flipgrid is an interactive website designed to empower student voice. Within the website, educators and students record videos, and they can use creative filters and stickers, text, and more to add to those videos. I've seen Flipgrid used in so many creative ways, but I was interested in how to use Flipgrid as a librarian who facilitates small group book clubs and large group read-alouds during distance learning. So even in small groups, I know that some students are hesitant to talk in front of their peers, and Flipgrid is a great alternative to help our students share their authentic voice. I also recognize that not every student is comfortable in front of a camera, so I make sure our students know that they can set up a stuffed animal in front of the camera and talk off camera, or use a Lego filter that will blur them out. We just want to make sure that our students are comfortable and able to share their voice. So my first Flipgrid with the book club for the Unteachables, I asked our students to share an introduction and if they ever felt unteachable. And I'm telling you, their videos blew me away. They were using fabulous filters and stickers and text, and I laughed at their hilarity and I was touched by their honesty. Now I continue to use Flipgrid once a week with our book club so that they can continue to facilitate open-ended discussion. We have great and meaningful, purposeful discussions during our book club meetings, but Flipgrid kind of gives me some direction as I watch their answers and listen to them. So it's been a great addition to small group book clubs. Now, I also use Flipgrid as an extension to social emotional learning read-alouds. I zoom into classes and read aloud, and I typically choose something that's kind of SEL related. And so I recently did this with the book, The Bad Seed. After I read the book to class, I would have a small discussion with them, and then I created a Flipgrid for them to answer the question, what are you working hard on? Just like The Bad Seed was working hard on being good. And I was just so impressed with our students' answers. They ranged from, I'm working hard on swim team, and used a background of underwater, to I'm working hard to get my toy box back that I lost when I had a bad temper. I just love the connection and hearing students' voices. It gives them an opportunity to share authentically, and it's so meaningful. So I encourage you to check out Flipgrid and give it a shot.
Okay, so our next tool is Badger. And this is a new one for me, and I'm hoping that you guys learned something about it too. It's a tool and app to create badges to recognize student and educator skill attainment. And these aren't just stickers, they're graphics with embedded metadata about the criteria for earning the badge. So who's issuing it and when it expires, things like that. In the classroom and online or on the job or in other parts of the real world, students can earn these. You can see to the right, you can see a badge that I earned for participation. You could award badges for teamwork, for critical thinking, or in a progression. For example, in a makerspace, you could go from coding to CAD to 3D printing. You could also use these, have students put them in their backpack, and then it helps colleges, universities, and jobs better understand who an applicant is and what they bring to the table. These are things that you could do for professional development. These are ways that students can keep these skills and have them be part of their lifelong learning journey once they are outside of the classroom as well. And I think I'm done in under time as well.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Deb Zeman. I'm an ed tech librarian in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been using Buncee for a couple of years, and the thing I love about Buncee, it's both a creation and a communication tool for not just students, but teachers, administrators. It allows you to create interactive content for all ages to visualize concepts. And what I've done is I've linked a few examples. One of the things I used it for, way down at the bottom, you'll see is Back to School with SEL and Buncee. That was a community week that two of my fellow ambassadors celebrated the use of Buncee with SEL. And one of the examples that I did was haikus at home, and that helped the students with everything with COVID, and it allowed them to express how they were feeling in just a simple and impactful way. As a librarian, I've created my virtual library where I link it to my Goodreads profile so kids can see my book reviews. I use it to link to Destiny and to Mac and Via so kids can go and look at the catalog. I create as a marketing feature for our library, Buncee bookmarks. As I read the book, I then, once I finish, I go and I make a bookmark, and I keep it simple, but intriguing enough that kids will come and say, hey, I want to check out that book. One of the things we used also, I created in the library last year, since we were not able to have a graduation, we created a graduation wishes board, and all the teachers congratulated all the seniors. And the thing that's great is you can app smash. And I app smashed with Flipgrid, where you can create a Flipgrid short video and upload it in. I've created library genre signage. One of the things I did also for students was a visual poetry analysis, where all they did was use the graphics and the text from Buncee to create a visual of what the poem meant to them. So I've linked everything there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter or through my email.
Hi, everyone. This is Joyce Valenza. And here's my confession. I live on Google Slides, and I don't want to ever leave my home. For years, I've MacGyvered solutions which involve bringing my slides into other platforms, but this has always ended sadly. And so now the insanity is over. I am using Slido for both remote and for face-to-face instruction. And believe me, our interactions need to be interactive right now. The free version of Slido allows you to easily add live polls, up to 3 per event, and collect questions into a sidebar without ever having to leave your presentation or abandon any media that you have. You leave your slides intact. When it's time to share with one single customizable event code, which you can make friendly and rememberable, you can invite students and participants in. So what types of conversations can you have? Using that QR code or an editable code to use on laptops or mobile devices, you can have multiple choice, you can have checkboxes, you can have word clouds, you can have open text, you can have ratings and upvotings, you can have moderated or unmoderated Q&As, you can have quizzes, or you can start with the handy poll templates and not have to do it from scratch. You get fabulous analytics that can be saved as an infographic, exported to Google, or saved as PDFs. You can now or soon use it within a Zoom webinar so that the questions appear in the chat frame, and you can go from one question to the next, and you'll be able to adjust the playback speed. It works with PowerPoint as well, which only for Windows, and more Zoom functionality is coming. It is not free, but my recommendation is if you are a Google or Microsoft school and you want to go beyond the free version, which is also very nice, I would get my school or department or district to pay for it, because at $200 for a department or $500 for an institution, and every teacher using Google Slides, it's a bargain. So that's mine. Slido.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Kennedy. I am a high school media specialist in North Jersey. I'm going to talk about Padlet today. Padlet kind of gets a bad rep because the free version only lets you have 3, but you'll see that it's worth it, even the free version. So Padlet's an online virtual bulletin board. It's a lot of fun. It looks really enticing to people who aren't making it, who are just viewing it. Students and teachers can collaborate, reflect, share links and pictures in a secure location. So all of the settings involve, privacy settings, just like a Google Doc would. You can change the format, change colors, sort posts by date. And I gave some examples here. So uses for a future ready librarian. I shared 2 examples that I did. The first one is a sharing of school databases and useful information. I use the columns format on that one. So it's the little picture in the back when you open it up yourself. And then the second one is a way to create book lists. So I featured some LGBTQ voices. I had big book covers on there. I put the call number. And then I also linked some resources for that subject area. So you could do that as well. Ideas for using it with students. This is great for student engagement, collaboration, and just kind of understanding resources, how to get them, and then how we attribute the credit for these resources. The 2 links that I shared are from EdTech professionals. So one of them is 100 ways to use Padlet. So as you can see, there's a ton of different ways you can use it. And then teach remotely with Padlet, which is really important right now. So definitely take advantage of the 3 that you can get for free. You can delete it and then go back whenever you need. That's Padlet.
Hi, I'm Jen. Hi. My picture's not coming up, but I can go ahead and talk. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Jen Baker. I'm the librarian at Pamlico County High School, and I'm going to share Screencastify, which is a Chrome extension, which allows you to share your screen or your camera or both at the same time. It integrates beautifully with YouTube and Google Classroom and Chrome, and Google Drive. So you can publish directly into your YouTube account. You don't have to worry about downloading or uploading. You can set your permissions right within YouTube. And that enables you to really easily share with your any learning management system that you happen to be using. Screencastify automatically creates a folder in your Google Drive. So everything that you create in Screencast is shared to your Google Drive. That makes it really easy to find it and share it later. You don't have to download it to share it. So you can share anything that, like a tip for students, how they can take a screenshot or something like that. You don't have to worry about recreating it. You can just access it every time. I also created a Google Classroom that is called Library Lessons, and I keep all my library videos in there, and they're sorted by topics so teachers can easily access those. I ran into a teacher in the hallway today, and she wanted me to share with her some information for one of her classrooms, and I wasn't able to do it right then, but I reminded her that I had those there, and so she was really happy she was able to go in and find that and share it with her classroom right away, and I could take care of the things I needed. So it was a really useful time saver for both of us. Screencasting is also great for giving personalized feedback. In the spring, when we had kids doing research remotely, I was able to real quickly give them feedback for their resources that they had chosen. I can also do that same thing with remote lesson feedback for teachers, or we can do book talks, flipped PD, and find specific websites. So it's really easy to use, and I highly recommend Screencasting.
Hi, my name is Eileen Lennon. I'm in New York City and I'm a technology teacher. I'm here to enlighten you about Everfi. First of all, it's free. It always was, always will be. It's a free resource. It teaches life skills, which aren't really covered in other subjects, which is why they always leave it on to the librarians to take care of this kind of thing. So it's all the soft skills that aren't covered in the other ones. There's digital citizenship, financial literacy, college and career readiness, social emotional learning, and a whole lot of other stuff. The students can follow the self-paced lessons or work at home. That's what's really working out for Everfi right now, between synchronous and asynchronous. I'm going to have my kids sometimes in school and sometimes at home. So I'm going to intro the lesson with them in front of me, but they can do most of the work at home on their own. So it's covering everybody all in one shot, synchronously and asynchronously. There's a test at the end of each lesson. So there's some accountability for the students. The lovely thing about that, though, is that if they didn't do well on it, they can take it again. So they can take it a few times. Try not to let them do that too often. The 6 modules in Ignition, they have a lot of modules, but the Ignition module really works well. Connections and community, safety and privacy, screen time versus offline time. That's huge right now. I use that lesson first and foremost. Technology and data, rights and literacy, and evaluating content. All of these subjects aren't really getting covered, but the screen time and offline time, I think, is going to be an important one that we're going to talk about this year. The thing I like doing is letting the kids do it at home, because the parents end up looking over their shoulder, seeing what they're learning, and really regretting that they didn't get a chance to learn this kind of stuff at home too. The college and career ready and the financial literacy, the parents are sitting down right next to the students and they're learning right along with them. Everfi covers K through 12 and every aspect of every life skill on every grade band. It's a great resource. I highly recommend it.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Fallon and I am a library media specialist, former classroom teacher in Lawrence, Kansas. And the app that I'm going to share today is called Pick Collage. And like many of you, I'm sure, who have been teaching for a long time, you remember all of the paper and the poster boards that we would get full of research projects with glue and smears and smudges on them. But I also remember a lot of my students feeling insecure about their handwriting, their drawing skills, or when they look over and they see a family that was able to go buy the really nice ribbon border or the glitter paint or, just making their poster look a lot nicer than other students. The reason I bring this up is because Pick Collage really evens that playing field for everybody, because everyone is just using the same tool. And basically, just from looking at it, you know that Pick Collage is a visual photo collage making tool where you can save your collage as an image file. So then later you can upload it. You can put it in a slideshow. You can print it out. You can embed it in a website. And it's very user friendly. The buttons are all very intuitive. I used it with kindergartners all the way up to staff members that are ready to retire at this point in the school year. But it's a very easy app to learn. So basically you pick a template or you can have freestyle design, and then you just add pictures from your camera roll. You can add stickers and graphics to your collage. There's also a web search option in the app that allows limited searching for images in the internet. And I tried words that students will probably put in and it will not pull up the images, which is great. So students really like to use it a lot because it is very fun to use, and they know that their products are going to look really nice. I use this a lot for responding to books, for creating whole class books, for them to share their research. The examples here are ABC books that the kids were making for Kansas Day, responding to books that we read together. And all in all, I know that students love using Pick Collage, and anytime we want to do an assignment, they ask, oh, are we going to be able to use this as our final product? So I highly, highly recommend it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marie Girolamo, and I'm a library media specialist in South Carolina in a middle school here, 6th to 8th grade. and I created a slideshow with hyperlinks that relate to curriculum standards. Like Joyce, I'm a big Google slide person. I'm definitely going to check out that Slido. But both my standards, like how to research, and that of my classroom teachers, I've covered in this slideshow. I then converted the slideshow into a PDF by using the download option in Google Slides. It's under the File menu. By doing this, your artwork can remain where you want them to be. Not that we have students that will play around with our slides, mind you, but this way, if you save it as a PDF, the kids can't go in and change or move the pictures on you. The only thing that will not work as a PDF is any links to slides. Those you have to work in the instructions on the slide itself. Like if you notice on this slide, I have English language arts that says go to slide 3, and I have history says go to slide 2. Creating this resource allows me to collaborate with teachers and not only become familiar with what is being taught, but it also allows me to approach them with any materials that I think might be useful for them. So it's a win-win, really. I contacted my children's librarian at the local public library to find out how children can access their collection virtually. And I created how-to videos, which I also linked behind some of these pictures. I've dropped this file into my grade level classrooms, and I was given 10 minutes by each ELA teacher to introduce the information available to the kids to support them through their learning throughout the year. I walked my teachers through the slides at the beginning of the year, and they absolutely loved it. So Google Slides is an incredible tool. Some of you have used it just on the surface for slideshows and presentations, but this is an awesome way to use it. So thank you.
Nikki, you might be muted.
Thanks, sorry. Hi, let's start again. My name is Nikki, and I'm a third grade teacher in Illinois. But I do have my master's in school library studies, so I collaborate often with my teacher librarians, and whenever I'm looking for new tools to use, I often look at it through the lens of literacy. So today I wanted to share with you about Apple Clips. So Clips is a free, easy to use app on iOS devices. I think of it as iMovie, but more for like the Snapchat and Instagram kind of stories crowd. It's really super user-friendly, and it has a lot of features that are really sure to engage your learners. It has background scenes without the need for a green screen, animojis, filters, live titles that will create closed captioning for you right as you speak, background music, and lots of other fun features. You can easily save the clips that you create to your camera roll or your drive, or you can share them directly to social media platforms, YouTube, Seesaw, Google Classroom. The possibilities are endless. You and your students can create lots of different things like book trailers or reviews. You could rethink how you do reading logs by having students create visual what I read this week clips. You can share your reading with a larger audience by creating whole class clips and compiling what students are reading and then sharing it out on social media. For example, it's Monday, what are you reading on Twitter? As a teacher or as a librarian, you can create mini lessons or read alouds to share with your learners, which right now is really beneficial if any of you are distance learning or for those librarians who share between a lot of different buildings. If you just take 10 minutes or less to play around, I'm sure that it'll spark even more creative ways that you will find to use this in your library and beyond.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Oliva. I'm a library media specialist just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And today I'm talking to you about GoSynth. So GoSynth is brought to you by the same people who bring us the swivel camera. Maybe you're familiar with that. But GoSynth is a micro podcasting platform. So all that really means is that you are limited to 256-second recordings, so just about 4.5 minutes. So it's a great way to introduce new people to podcasting. It's very simple to use. So you can even use it with your youngest learners. I love the fact that as a teacher, you can create a podcast and actually ask your students to join with a link and a code. So you can keep all of their recordings within one space, and they can actually respond to each other's recordings with comments or their own podcast, which we sometimes refer to as synths. So it's a great alternative to Flipgrid because it does some of the same things, but it doesn't require students to have their cameras actually on. There is a search feature within GoSynth as well, so you can check out information that's already been posted by other educators and students and use those as examples. And you can get as complicated with it as you like. So you can add pictures in the background, you can add hashtags, you can link to other content, you can just kind of make it more complicated if you want to use that with older students. So uses as a future ready librarian. You need to talk about what's happening in your own community. So a lot of us are home, or we're home part of the time, but we're still working really hard, right? So you can use GoSynth as a way to create an audio recording and share out what you're doing. What are you doing behind the scenes that people don't see? I use it to record book talks. So I have a LHS Book Talk podcast channel, which is actually linked in one of the images on the left side of your screen. So that's a way for me to voice some book reviews and also just connect with my students, even though I don't get to see them all face to face. I have some staff that are using this to actually interview guest speakers. So one of our culinary teachers is going out into the community and recording conversations with chefs and then bringing back those conversations to the classroom so the students can hear those. Students can use this for individual or class podcasts. It's a great alternative for an exit ticket. Like I said, you can use them as interactive or use it for interactive book talks because you can respond to synths that have already been recorded, or think about keeping an audio diary of these really strange times. So I have some links on the images on the left-hand side of your screen so you can learn more about podcasting in the classroom, and I've included some things that it plays nicely with at the bottom of your screen. Thanks, everybody. That's GoSynth.
Okay, my name is Melanie Sova. I'm a media specialist out of Humble, Texas, and I'm going to be talking about Tinkercad. Now, this is actually a design program for doing 3D modeling, and it works by taking some basic shapes and putting them together to create a larger shape, and then using what they call holes, which are like cutouts to take things away. And so it really makes you kind of think differently about how you're creating something, because when we draw it, we draw the whole shape. But whenever we have to use a 3D modeler, you have to figure out what are the parts and what do I need to take away. It actually has a very important real-world application because CAD programs are used by engineers, urban planners, architects, interior designers. So this actually gets you kind of a building block for something that can be used in professions. Tinkercad, however, is very beginner user-friendly. You do not have to have experience with more sophisticated CAD programs like AutoCAD to get into this. Now, Tinkercad you can use just for 3D modeling, or if you have a 3D printer or a laser cutter, it works really well with those as well. You don't need those tools, but you can use them with Tinkercad. So kind of some ways you can use it. Anytime that you really would want the kids kind of imagining, drawing, visualizing something, and a lot of times we're used to kind of doing that on paper with paper pencil. This can be brought to a 3D world where they start imagining it in all dimensions. Some ways that I've used it is if they read a book, like in my example here, the scenes at the bottom are from City of Ember. And they had to actually imagine what a location in City of Ember would look like, and they designed that scene. And they could use a combination of the shapes because you can see kind of those built up there. And there is a gallery of already created items that they could bring in. I've also used it like if you're designing an invention, what would that invention look like? An environment or an animal, what would it look like there? So it's just kind of a different way of imagining those kind of dioramas or things like that. It actually can be collaborative or individual. You can get a collaboration link and send it out so multiple people can work in one space, or you can do it individually. Some other really neat features that it has built in. One is the scribble tool, and you'll see that one built that's over on the top left of my images, where students actually can go through, and if you have a stylus, it's easier on an iPad, or you can use it with your mouse, but whatever they draw actually can be turned into a 3D image. And so I've been able to use that with vocabulary reinforcement. Our kindergartners are doing all of their letters, and since we have a 3D printer, they actually become manipulatives. So we print them out, and the teachers then have these as manipulatives they can use in the class that are student-created manipulatives. There's also got a block coding feature so that your 3D design can be created with block coding. It's got a circuit designer. You can also go in and do Legos or Minecraft design. So if you're someone who uses those within your library for Makerspace, they can actually design those within Tinkercad and transfer them over. So thank you.
Hi, I'd like to talk about Adobe Spark. I love Adobe Spark. It's something that's easy to use. And what I like about it, there's 3 different apps, but if you don't have a device that's mobile like that, you have a desktop, it works also on the web. So it's really nice on that one. And it has 3 different ones that you can make and through. So the first app is going to be Adobe Page, where you can make web pages, Adobe Video, where you make your videos, and then you have your post. And so your post, you can use them for anything that you're going to want to do on that. But what I like about them is that we use them a lot when we're making things that we want to put out for social media. So like on Friday, if we're going to have the military special speaker guest to come in, make something quickly there, and Adobe Spark to spread it out. So our community partners, it makes a nice thing. The templates are there. You don't have to use templates, but if you want to, it automatically links into some pictures that you can look up, and everything is easy on that one. Nice thing about it is that schools can apply, and you can have Adobe Spark for schools, Adobe Spark also for the district, and also for classroom teachers. So it's very versatile, and that the fact it's free but you do have to sort of apply for it. But once you have it, it's easy, and then from there you can go on. Things that you can do with it, obviously, is going to empower students as creators, because that's a big one around your literacy. So whatever you're doing with literacy, then you can do it. So if you write a book, you can do anything to do with that. If like you want to do a traditional book report or something like that, you're all about me. What I loved about it is the one that you see pictured here is I had a student who learned it right before we left to go on spring break and never came back last year. And she has now since moved, but she wanted to show me in her new school something that she had done and all about me. And I was like, oh my goodness, it just warms my heart. I had kids that shared with me all throughout the spring and the summer because they just wanted to share what they were doing, what we had learned. And so like, hey, I did this and I did that and I love it. And so I'm like, you can also apply it though. So with whatever you're going to do. So if you're going to have a book and you have something like at the very end is I can whatever, and you want them to do it, you can put it on there. So I like that. So anything to do at all with that, you can share it out there. And also we use it a lot to just, for signs for our displays and things like that. I hope that helps. Thank you so much.
So if this were an app pageant, I think that Wakelet would be the Mr. or Ms. or Miss, whatever congeniality of the curation and app world. In fact, we fought over who would do this lovely app, and it's completely free. Ideal for curation, storytelling, and collaboration. In the past, I've used Wakelet to archive conferences, archive Twitter chats, share best lists, crowdsource, and display current events with students and young students and graduate students. I send my students on safaris using Wakelet to find best examples of something and defend their choices. I've shared professional development. In fact, my own promotion portfolio using social media was created in Wakelet. I follow other Wakeleters, many of whom are here. I sequence my learning playlists. I create lists of book trailers, keep my speeches, and I share my mood boards with myself. My pedagogical strategies mood boards, where I go whenever I feel less than fresh. I plan vacations, create cookbooks, create media-rich newsletters. And with students, I have used it to organize and present their research and their sources, and to use it for their own portfolios. It allows you, and you can see on the very bottom there, to gather collections, images, PDFs, websites, content from Twitter, YouTube, and Flipgrid is always on the ready so that you can make a video just at the moment. You can add your own text and narrate your collections. They can be private, listed, or unlisted. Students can log in using Google, Office, or Facebook. Unlike other curation tools, Wakelet allows you to share, but also to invite collaborators who do not need to log in to use the tool. You just have to use an invite button. There's a handy browser button that allows you to curate on the fly, and it works nicely on mobile too. There's a new Spaces feature that allows you to have even more superpowers to organize your Wakelet world. And best of all, you could grab pieces of text, articles, and just sequence them on Wakelet, and then have students read them in immersive reader that will make them so accessible and translatable into 75 languages or so. And you'll see on the side of that slide that there is a Wakelet handbook that's teacher written, and there's lots of links, especially to Wakelet Week, which is actually a conference. I love that you can nest your Wakelets inside of each other. In fact, the conference was one Wakelet page with many Wakelets of the events inside. I did a international conference on Wakelet over the summer. Thank you.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Martha Bongiorno and I'm a library media specialist in Johns Creek, Georgia. I do work primarily with middle schoolers, but as president-elect of GLMA, or Georgia Library Media Association, I really do work with all grade levels. So I'm going to tell you a lot about Anchor today. So empowering student voices is a huge part of our roles as future-ready librarians. Our children have stories to tell, so let's let them. Anchor is both an app and a website, which is awesome. So it's used across multiple devices, and it helps you create high quality podcasts. So with podcasting, it allows your students the opportunity to connect with an authentic audience. It's super fun and engaging. It's a rewarding experience for students to have their work displayed for others. And it also helps foster communication skills that are necessary for our students to become advocates of change, problem solvers, and critical thinkers. So the way Anchor works is that you can record on a phone, tablet, or a computer or laptop. You can record interviews with any other person with a call-in feature. You can edit every audio thing together and mix it all into one with this awesome Anchor library full of music that you can use, and can publish across multiple platforms like iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, social media, and embed it on your school's website or your library website, which is awesome. So when you think about how to use Anchor, one of the things I like to talk to teachers about is whether you want to consume or create. Obviously, podcasting, we can listen and analyze from a consumption standpoint and think critically about that, but you can also create. So the pictures in this slide are showing our 8th grade students, and they were talking about the civil rights movement, and they ended up analyzing primary sources in order to interview one another on a modern podcast for the civil rights movement. So that was a really interesting way of engaging them and providing an authentic audience as well. In addition to that, you could have flipped classroom approaches, a weekly school broadcast if you're doing the news session for your school. You can have student debates on issues like the global goals for sustainable development. You can analyze current events, recap field trips. You could reinterpret reading passages and do dramatic read alouds and things like that for your littles, encourage student speeches with student council, and then create audio tours for the school for new students for curriculum night and things like that. So I just didn't want to cover what our friends said earlier about podcasting, but there is a link on there for more with even more ideas. So thanks, y'all.
Hello, my name is Kylie Ugodugu, and I'm the District Library Media Specialist at the School District of Belleville in Wisconsin. The app smash I want to share today is the creation of an instant photo album using just Google tools. So last spring, some of my colleagues were asking for ways to organize pictures. They were having families send photos to email, and they were really happy about it, but they were starting to get a little bit overwhelmed with the emails they were receiving, and they wanted to streamline this process a little bit, especially our related arts teachers with many students. So to create a hassle-free, instantaneous photo album, this was our solution. We started with a simple Google form. We embedded the form responses folder link into their Google website and changed a few settings, and the families could now easily share pictures and see a public photo album showcasing their virtual learners. The 3 pictures on this slide will help you get started. The first screenshot hyperlinks to a document detailing the steps to create your very own Insta photo album. The second is a screenshot of the form used to gather pictures. The hyperlink will prompt you to make your own copy. And the third shows a thumbnail of the photo album embedded on our art teacher's website. where she utilized this app smash to have her students submit photos of their artwork to create a school-wide gallery. So please try it. The 2 links that I have in teal provide a quick form for photo upload, and the other link allows you to see what the embedded album looks like live. I set this up for today, so after the presentation, I hope you'll try it and see how quickly you can share a picture to build our instantaneous photo album of future-ready librarians. This app smash will allow you to lead from the library, quickly showcase library or other school happenings, collaborate with colleagues, and it's a simple way to connect with families and build community. I hope you'll give the Google suite of tools a chance at building an instant photo album for you. It's sure to build community and make your inbox lighter as well. If you have any questions, please reach out to me through Twitter. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alyssa Malaspina. I'm a high school librarian from New Jersey. I'm going to talk to you about Canva for education, which I just love, love, love. I cannot talk about this platform enough. It is so great because it's like everything in one place. What you're seeing are some pictures of examples of things that I have made through Canva. I use it almost on a daily basis for bookmarks, for posters, for social media posts. You can even do like ones that have, GIFs in them and animated ones. You can do display. All my displays are made using that. All my flyers, you know how we, like kids need to make flyers for things. I show them how to use Canva. Those pamphlets, those teachers are always want to do those those trifold pamphlets, and we can never figure out how to do it in like Google. Well, Canva has the templates for it. They have thousands and thousands of templates. You name it, they basically have a template. Business cards, menus, they have infographics. So we don't need another program for infographics. You can just show them how to use Canva to do it. And what's so nice about Canva is it's really an industry, one that, people in industry are using. My friend who works for one of the media outlets when I told him, I was using Canva, he's like, oh my God, you're teaching your kids how to use Canva? That's what we use like all the time in our industry. That's really great because kids will then come in knowing how to use it right away. I had to, sort of teach myself it. So Canva is being used by professional graphic designers, and it really makes it look like you're making these incredible graphic designs. And it's not very hard. It's just like cut and paste. And, they have all the text boxes and all the images already for you. And you can really make incredible looking professional designs that are easy and free to use. There are some paid parts of it, but for most of the part, it is basically free for the students to use. And I just love it for everything. You name it, I use Canva for it. And they also have a really good app too. So the app is nice too. And that's it.
Hey there, I'm Lynn Bryan from beautiful sunny Denver, Colorado, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Google Jamboard. This is one of the things that I was really impressed with for younger learners because it's super simple. If you are a Google district or you have a Google account, you'll find Jamboard in your waffle menu in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You may have to scroll down a little bit because it's one of those like Easter eggs. It's a little known secret. But basically what this is an interactive whiteboard. There are 2 different things. Google sells this big interactive digital whiteboard that you can buy, but they also have the Jamboard app, which functions in a lot of the same way. So it has markers, it has pens, it has paintbrushes, it has highlighters, an eraser, because if you're like me and you make a ton of mistakes, then eraser is a very good thing to have. You can insert pictures, you can insert sticky notes, you can insert memes and that sort of thing into a Jamboard, and they're eminently movable and resizable, flippable. And the best thing about it is unlimited number of people can be on a Jamboard at the same time working together. So for me, a collaboration tool that's synchronous can be really helpful. Another thing that I like about Jamboard is you can insert a unlimited number of panes to the Jamboard, so you can have a 1 pane per class or 1 pane per group. It also is super useful in that it's not an overwhelming menu. The menu down the left-hand side has about 6 options, and each option has a couple of sub options for color or line thickness or whatever it might be. So I highly recommend playing with this and using it as an opportunity for people who might be overwhelmed with lots of menu options to get into collaboration digitally and work together on projects. You can desave just like your drive, and you're able to grab these and capture them and then share them out a little bit later. So yeah, if you need a blank canvas for throwing ideas on the wall and see what sticks, Google Jamboard's a good way to go. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jill Work. I live in New Jersey. I am a former public librarian, youth librarian, turned a school librarian, and this year I am a STEM teacher K-8. Wix.com is a free website development tool and hosting platform. It's I started using it about 8 years ago when I wanted to develop a personal portfolio of the work I did at libraries, programs and book lists and things like that. They have a huge choice of well-designed templates. I'm a former graphic designer, so I'm very picky about that. It's easy to learn, easy to use. There's no coding required. It's highly customizable. You can customize the desktop and the mobile views. You can use free images from Wix, or you can upload your own. In addition to images, you can add videos, audio files, PDFs, and other document types, which are all stored on Wix. So you don't have to keep them attached or anything. You can make multiple sites. I think I'm up to 40 right now. I need to delete some. Uses. You can do portfolio like I talked about, or you can use it as an archive of programs, curricula, book lists, blogs, or other materials that you want an easy, accessible, shareable, visual organizational tool, which we have a lot of those at our fingertips. You can do it for certain types of things with students, like virtual poetry. I did a virtual poetry gallery back in April when we were distant, and also things like virtual blogs. I also posted online storytelling that they could access. Also for students, it would be an ideal deliverable for a research project or in lieu of a video or presentation. And it would also be great for learning to understand digital design and navigation. Or it could be a portfolio to showcase student work. It's particularly good for arts, so photography and visual art, also for music because you can upload audio or videos. It's just really a great platform if you have any use for websites. That's it, Wix.com.
Well, that was amazing. And I couldn't go on with just sharing one more surprise one, and that is PeerDeck. And I loved learning everything with all of you. And I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes on little things that I can't wait to share with my teachers. But I think PeerDeck is one that is worth mentioning too, because it is integrated with Google Slides. We talked a lot about that today, and it is an add-on that you can add not only interactive questions and ways that they can interact just like really simply through the things that you can add, but also adding a formative assessment to your Google Slide too. And I love it because over the summer, they even added audio. And so now you can make it if you share it with your students, or maybe you have, like we do at my school, we're in a blended situation where we have virtual learners and learners at school. It's easy for the teacher to add audio so they can share them with our students at home as well. I also love it because it includes a couple free things. There's a lot of things in PeerDeck where you can use in the free version, but Flashcard Factory and the Newsela Daily Decks are definitely worth checking out, especially for us as librarians. Those are two products that hook our teachers immediately. When we use it as a future ready librarian, there are a lot of ways to do that. We can use it as, like I just said, as a great hook collaboration tool with teachers, as a place to build community relationships in meetings and events, and as a tool for personalized professional learning. And this is one we use a lot, not only with our students, but also as we are teaching our teachers as well and learning together. I love smashing it up with PebbleGo, Flipgrid, and Buncee. And the ideas when using it with our students is really endless. And we use it from our little ones all the way from preschool up to our older kids in 12th grade. And it just gives our students a place to be able to communicate and collaborate all kinds of tools if we're at school or if we're virtual or even, like I said, in a blended situation too. And I worked with PeerDeck over the summer as well to create some library media templates. And these include all kinds of prompts and slides for reading, research, PebbleGo, library skills, and more. And in those slides over on the side, you'll be able to find those. So it makes it really easy to be able to find those as well. So before we end and I share the link for all of those great slides, I want to thank everybody. That was so much fun. And like I said, I learned so many different things. And I want to share the link with all of you watching because I know that you're probably dying to get your hands on those resources. And so jot this bit.ly down. We'll be sharing this too as well along with the recording. And you can get to everything that everyone talked about, links to the sites and the resources that were shared, and a few more different things that people have on their slides that are embedded. And so I'm just really thankful that we could all learn together. I also wanted to share this great collection that was put together from the things that they shared. And so I made a collection that is public. And anyone can use this. Feel free to share this too. This is a great thing to share with your teachers. You know, tell them about the webinar that you went to. Say you have, like 21 great resources that you can share. And I know that my teachers always appreciate that when I give them things like this. I also want to mention our site on the Future Ready page. This is something that there's been a lot of updates and additions in the last few months. One of, I think, the most exciting thing is the conversation starter that is here. My partner, Mark Ray, and I worked on this, and Mark did such an amazing job of putting this together. And it was so fun to work on just thinking about how we start those conversations within our school with our leaders and others. And so please take a look at that. We also had a workshop in August, and one thing that is on the site I think that's really valuable is the collection that we put together of the resources that we shared during this workshop. And you can find all of them there, including the keynotes that we had, which were wonderful. And we have some really exciting news. We have 2 fall workshops coming up. Registration is actually open. This is the first time that we have talked about it. And we're so excited to bring this to you in November on the 7th and the 21st. Those are Saturdays. It's going to be about 3 hours long, and the link is on this slide. And so please join us for those. We can't not wait to be together again. And we have lots of new things that we want to talk about and share. I'm also doing a webinar with Fallon that is coming up. This is a double feature webinar in October on the 14th. And the bit.ly on the bottom will take you to that registration link. We'll be talking about promoting literacy with technology tools, collections, and destiny. And so if collections was something today you want to know more about and some of these different tools that we talked about, that will be a good one. And also just talking about engaging your school community with an e-fair. And we are just wrapping up our e-fair, so that's been a really fun thing to do with our kids too. Also this week, I'm excited to announce that our podcast by Future Ready Schools has kicked off, Leading Through the Library. There are 2 up already. My friends Bill Bass and Josh Thumpenhorse, they joined me. And actually right after this, I have a few more that we're recording. And these are going to be just really great to be able to listen to or watch. And not only us as librarians, but there are others too with the other leaders, which in Future Ready Schools. So Tom Murray and Carl Hooker. And it's just great to be able to see these. Brianna Hodges, hers kicked off this week too. And so please take a look at some of those. Also yesterday, we had a great release of the Future Ready planning guide for high quality remote learning. This is amazing. I spent so much time looking at this yesterday, and I was so happy to be able to share this with the leaders within our district and state and our teachers too, because you can go in and see how our Future Ready framework links into not only the things that we're doing within remote learning right now and what we're all maybe have the challenges that we have in remote learning, but there are also tons of ideas to consider. And so I am so appreciative of this because it's really going to be an important tool, not only to share as librarians within our district, but even with those conversations with your families as well. So please remember to continue to join us on Future Ready Libs on Twitter and Instagram, and share your stories and share what you're learning. And just like we shared today, we always love to hear from everybody. And one thing that I really love and I go every day to is our Facebook page. And I love all the things that we learn together. And I think we're so lucky because of the community that we have. And so if you're not a member yet of Future Ready Librarians, the Facebook group, please join and contribute to the conversation, not only on Future Ready Libs, but on TL Chat. And this is something I think that Joyce started years ago, and it's just great because we can all be part of these great communities. And so I appreciate the conversations we have there. And we also appreciate, again, the support that we have from Follett and for all of you. And we're so thankful that you joined us. And I'm super thankful for all of my friends that joined me today. It was so much fun. And the first, I'm sure, of many like this. So have a great day, and we'll see you soon for a webinar. We have 2 more coming up this year, one in October and one in December. So we can't wait for that too. Thank you, everybody.